Hey everybody, it's Red here, and today we're going to be talking about two games, Breath of Death 7 and Cthulhu Saves the World. So both of these games are pretty much the same game. Breath of Death 7 to me is what you should play first if you're going to play this, as it has less of the features than Cthulhu Saves the World. So just keep that in mind if you decide to buy and play these. That's probably the order that you should play them in. I played them in the reverse order. It doesn't necessarily hurt you if you play them, in reverse order. It's like playing Final Fantasy VI and then playing Final Fantasy IV. There's different options, but they're pretty much the same type-ish game. They're both RPGs and they have a different magic system, but you won't be like lost playing one before the other. So to start with, the good is that you get to choose your level up bonuses. I'm a huge fan of kind of tailor making your characters. So you can go for the single hit more powerful attack, the group hit, the all hit. You can raise your stats accordingly. If you want a Cthulhu to be a magic user, that is viable. My only problem is that it just seems like you're choosing one or the other when you're not choosing an attack. It's like, do you want 30 health or do you want 30 MP? Do you want all your stats, or do you want more HP MP? Probably a little bit more thought could have been put into them, but I'm not going to complain that you are given a choice to, pretty much design your character. I am also a huge fan of the auto fight feature right there, so that you can just, if you need to, power up before a boss fight, or if you're just looking to level up to 99, it's pretty simple. Just fight, boom, you're there. You get a battle of your of the local enemies. These are not the local enemies in the game. These are probably the in-game monsters. So if you can't tell, I'm playing at the end of the game. I teleported from the last dungeon so that you can hear my awesome recording, and I'm being facetious at that point. The relatively low encounter rate in dungeons. I'm a huge fan of giving me some time to walk around the dungeons and get my bearings without every 2.5 seconds getting into a boss fight or a normal fight. And just like, hey, I can wander around, I can go hug that wall and see if there's a treasure chest over there without feeling like, well, if I move 6 steps, I'm going to be into another battle. So I have to kind of plan accordingly. But I do enjoy it very much. The potions I also enjoy. They are a full revive, full restore. They're limited, as well as the 1-ups for the Call of Cthulhu, but they're a full heal. I like it when they don't throw 400,000 items at people. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not a huge fan of Legend of Dragoon, but one thing I think it did correctly was there's pretty much 4 heal items. It's either half health to the group, full health, or full health to the group. It's pretty simple. As much as I love sushi and onigiri and stuff like that, I just give me some potions and give me some names. I'm a pretty basic person like that. Most games nowadays that I have a wife and kid, I don't get to play to full completion. I just get to beat them and move on. So usually sometimes less is better for me. some of the bad things that I'm not a huge fan of. Enemies power up over time. This, to me, it turns this game into just a DPS battle. If you're a high enough level, you're gonna be great. If you're not high enough level, you're slowly gonna die because the enemies are gonna overpower you. Whereas in the past, if the enemies were gonna overpower you, they would have just done it normally. And you know, that to me is it turns every boss battle into just a DPS fest. You know, who's going to DPS who first. And if you've been making the good DPS decisions, you're going to win. If you've been making the bad DPS decisions, you're going to lose. But to me, that's what this game boils down to. It also seems to be kind of grind heavy. I'm going to mix these kind of points together. So, you know, I get it, it's an RPG game, you're supposed to be fighting. But I know the moment that I hit the restore MP save point, I'm going to grind out the rest of the battles in the dungeon. So that way that I can complete the dungeon pretty much without having to wonder if I'm going to hit with a battle that's going to, you know, cost me my team. I also saved a lot. That's RPG 101, is save as frequently as you can. Like, to quote the lunar guide from the Sega CD, don't save at the bottom of a dungeon when your guys have 3 hit points combined. You know, I'm saving all the time. Like any battle that I win and I don't regret, I save. But you know, grinding that stuff out makes the game super easy. And yeah, you can probably do things earlier, or if you want to, you can probably just go through and smash some people. But if you want to, you could probably, you know, just do it as minimal battles as possible. Remember, this is me working on my public speaking, so it's probably not going to be the greatest, so I apologize. To that point, there seems to be some unbalanced enemies, like groups of enemies that if you meet them and they just sit around and stun lock you all day, that's it, you're done. You know, by the time they're done stun locking you, they're at 150% strength. You know, at that point, it's, you know, a little too far to kind of come back sometimes, unless you're willing to drop a ton of MP. And yeah, you restore MP after battle, but usually it's not enough unless you're putting the points, the level point, you know, point ups into restoring MP, and those are far and few between anyway. And I think this game is trying to be a little bit like They on Sega CD, or Earthbound, or even with me, it's like there's a Magitech factory in Cthulhu Saves the World. And I already think Earthbound was a parody of RPGs to begin with, and to me, a parody of a parody is not necessarily that funny. I'm not a huge fan of Undertale, because I think it's a parody of a parody, and the multiplicity effect happens where, you know, you clone Michael Keaton 15 times. Well, number 15 is not going to be the best and the brightest. So I kind of feel that it's trying to be something other than something more unique, and I think, you know, ultimately it kind of pays the price, and it's going to pay the price at the end of the review. So for the Breath of Death 7, it took me about 3.2 hours to beat, and for Cthulhu Saves the World, it took me about 6.8. So you can kind of see that, you know, one game is twice as long as the other. There is some extra battles that you can do. With me having a kid and a wife, DLC sometimes doesn't happen if I don't truly enjoy a game, and I didn't fall in love with this game. This game was probably a first date, and then we decided, you know what, we we didn't, you know what, we thought we would be cool together, but we're not. So that comes to my recommendation of my RPG class, and I have to say no. To me, both of these games kind of combined are weekend games, and what I mean by a weekend game is that the missus takes the kid and goes visit the mother-in-law, and I get to play a game, without being bothered for a day or two. I probably wouldn't choose this unless I'm doing more of my, have Steam pick games for me, which is what this was. Steam told me people who play the games that I played would play this next. If I was going to play a game for a weekend, it would probably be something like Soul Blazer. It's pretty short. I can beat it in under 8 hours. I can get some, food that's not healthy for me and eat it, maybe a couple beers, and then just, play it and enjoy it. Whereas this is, like, now that I'm done with it, I'm going to pretty much uninstall it, and I probably will never think about it again. But the good news is it's pretty cheap at this point. So if you do feel like picking it up, both of them, I got them both in a pack. They're not super expensive. So thanks guys for listening to me butcher the English language, and I hope to catch you guys again soon. Thanks.